is Notsam Wrestling.
Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
We got Money in the Bank going down on Sunday. It would appear that only the Money in the Bank match itself is happening at the WWE corporate headquarters. I was advocating for the idea of all the matches taking place at headquarters. The Money in the Bank match would start in the lobby of the building and go up, the 3 or 4 floors and end up on the roof, as I've been saying. But I thought it would be cool if all of the matches took place in the ring on the roof, and then you would end the show with the match that took place throughout the entire building. But it would appear, all reports are saying that everything on the pay-per-view except the ladder matches are happening in the Performance Center. Which, okay, let's start with the non-ladder matches. And I talked in depth about this whole pay-per-view with Wade Keller. So if you want to get more Money in the Bank stuff, definitely download that podcast. We've got 4 title matches and 2 ladder matches. And while you may look at that and say that's only 6 matches, I have to imagine they might add another, maybe like one other match, maybe. But I have to believe that the 2 Money in the Bank matches that are happening simultaneously will go an hour. So you got 2 hours to do the other 4 matches. Yeah, you might add a 5th, but it's not so crazy with all the pomp and circumstance. You could fill 2 hours, I think. Especially since one of them is the tag title match with 4 teams involved. SmackDown tag team titles are on the line. New Day, Forgotten Sons, Miz and Morrison, Lucha House Party. I think it's important that the New Day retain the tag titles here. I think the SmackDown Tag Team Championship have gotten a little lost in the weeds because of the way the WrestleMania ladder match had to be changed at the last minute. And so we saw that singles ladder match with the tag title on the line. And then to make up for it, the participants that weren't involved at WrestleMania were involved in another singles triple threat match with the tag title on the line. And that's how Big E won that, winning the tag title for both members of the New Day. So I feel like the lack of tag matches has left people not even quite sure who the tag champions are at this point. I think that the New Day need to have a strong showing and retain the tag title for sure at Money in the Bank. Otherwise, I don't understand why you would just have Big E win in general. Unless, look, the one thing you could do is have Kofi lose the match and have Big E get pissed and start that Big E heel turn. You could do that. That would be interesting. But if that's not what you're doing, then the New Day need to retain. Hopefully we get a better idea of who the Forgotten Sons are as a team. We started to get a little bit of that last week on SmackDown. I think we had a little more this week. And then hopefully at the pay-per-view, we really start to get a clear picture of who they are. I think Miz and Morrison are great. Everybody gets them. They've been really entertaining, especially in this period with no audience. And Lucha House Party, I think they need to recharge the way they got at the Elimination Chamber. I think they need an opportunity at Money in the Bank to have a moment or a few moments where they just wow people with their moveset. And that would showcase the value of why they're in this match. Because realistically, when you look at it, you can, if you show everything that New Day and the Forgotten Sons and Miz and Morrison and Lucha House Party can do, and you can kind of take your time doing that, you can really showcase a diversity in the tag team division of SmackDown. Because you've got 4 teams that are extremely different and 4 teams that you could all portray as potential tag title holders. So you've got the ability here to really showcase the SmackDown tag team division in a very, very strong way. So hopefully that opportunity is taken, and that's what we see at the show. You got Bayley versus Tamina for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I have to believe that Bayley's going to retain. Maybe Sasha Banks takes a hit, or gets knocked out by Tamina, and that's the distraction that allows Bayley to roll her up and beat Tamina. So Bayley's sitting there celebrating that she's won the title, and Sasha's looking at her like, you didn't save me? And Bayley's like, why would I save you? I was trying to win the championship. And this isn't about you, Sasha. And Sasha's like, well, it is about me because I got hit. They're saying that, of course, with their body language and their eyes. But I think that that's more the story in this match. The story is that Bayley and Sasha are at some point going to be on the outs, and one of them is going to turn on the other. What I would like to see is Bayley start to be built up as this heel that's going to Shawn Michaels Sasha Banks' Marty Jannetty, only to find out that Sasha ends up being the heel. You know, that big swerve at the end when they finally do split, to find out that Sasha is the one that does the damage, I think would be an interesting turn. And I think that's the way it should be. I think Sasha Banks is just really, really good as a bad guy. Your 2 title matches. The Universal Championship is on the line. It's Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. Not The Fiend. Cardigan Bray Wyatt. Sweater Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt. And this is an interesting one. Clearly, having the match be against Bray Wyatt and not The Fiend, it allows you to do a lot more. You know, I think that this match is specifically interesting because the decision to put Braun Strowman in the championship match at WrestleMania was only made days before WrestleMania, if that. It might have been made the day of. I don't know. But the idea that, well, why would they put the title on Braun Strowman just to take it off him? Well, they didn't plan on putting the title on Braun Strowman. So who knows? Maybe they've changed their mind since the day of WrestleMania when they made that match. That said, I think that you got to make your pick and go with it. I think it's very important that Braun Strowman keep the championship. I think that it's easier to have Bray Wyatt lose than it would be to have The Fiend lose, for sure. I don't think The Fiend should lose anymore. But I also don't think The Fiend should be wrestling so much anymore. And I certainly don't think The Fiend should be in the conversation for any championships. Because boy, did that get muddled the last time, huh? So I think that, I also think that because you've got Drew McIntyre on one show that is really clicking with the fan base, I don't think that you can portray Braun Strowman in that same light. And Braun Strowman doesn't feel the same way. I think that you might be looking at a scenario where your best bet is to turn Braun Strowman heel, is to make Braun Strowman a bad guy. And I don't think it's a bad idea at all to have Braun Strowman be confused by everything going on and have Braun Strowman start teaming with Bray Wyatt again and have Braun Strowman be under the guidance of The Fiend and Braun Strowman be doing the matches for The Fiend. And that way, eventually, when we get the title away from The Fiend, we're actually beating Braun Strowman, not The Fiend. And I think I think it would be better for Braun Strowman. I think that it is how you avoid the problem of Braun Strowman not being particularly vulnerable as a good guy, not garnering a tremendous amount of sympathy because we think that he could clearly just beat anybody. I think the only thing you could really do to make people worry that Braun Strowman can't beat somebody is to turn Big E heel and make Big E portray him as being even stronger than Braun Strowman. If you do that, you might be able to keep Braun Strowman a good guy. But I think that it would be a better bet to make Braun Strowman a bad guy, align him with The Fiend, and then have guys like Jeff Hardy, have guys like Daniel Bryan, have guys like whoever you've got trying to tackle Braun Strowman and take the title away from him. I also think that the story of Braun Strowman and The Fiend doesn't have a ton of depth right now. And maybe that's because we got spoiled with how deep the John Cena Fiend story went. But right now the story is just, well, Braun Strowman used to be my partner and he's not now. So you want to fight? That's the whole story. I think that if we go to Money in the Bank and we realize, oh, we're just starting the story. Like, that's not the story. That's just the first chapter that led us to here. The real story is that The Fiend still has, Bray Wyatt still has a degree of mental control over Braun Strowman. You know, The Fiend keeps saying, let me in. Well, what happens if you let The Fiend in and then you come home? I think Braun Strowman should come home at Money in the Bank. You got Drew versus Seth, who, you know, some people have been critical of Seth, and some people don't like Seth's character. I think it's awesome. I've actually been a big fan of the work that Seth Rollins has been doing as the Monday Night Messiah. I think that this is the best we've seen Seth Rollins in some time. I think that he's a good opponent for Drew. I think he'll lose, but I don't think he'll look weaker for it. And I think that that's the right move. You know, clearly, I think Drew is the guy to go with right now. And, you know, I like the idea of Seth Rollins continuing to be the Messiah and maybe moving past the title, because it's not about the title. So let's talk about something else. And maybe Seth Rollins and Aleister Black start a rivalry next. Maybe if Aleister Black is the one to win the Money in the Bank, that might make sense. Because you're not going to start a rivalry with the champion. If you have the briefcase, why would you need a rivalry with him? You just wait until he's weak and then you pounce. But let's talk about the briefcase. As we discussed on this podcast a few weeks ago with Kaz, you are going to have both matches happening simultaneously. The women, Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Dana Brooke, Nia Jax, Carmella, and Lacey Evans. The men, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Otis, the big black sheep. Black horse? Black sheep? Dark horse. Otis is in this match. I'll tell you a few things. Even before AJ Styles' promo on Monday, somebody's going off the roof of Titan Towers on Sunday night. And I am 100% for it. And don't bring up, well, what about Hulk Hogan and the Giant in WCW? That was such a disaster. That was so bad. That was bad. But that's because that existed in the realm of wrestling. Something about the WWE's cinematic way of showing matches, the precedent was set at WrestleMania. We as fans have evolved into having the ability to take these matches and when they're shown to us cinematically, understand that they're happening in a different universe. And things that we wouldn't take seriously in a 20 by 20 ring. If it's done in the Firefly Funhouse, if it's done in the Boneyard, if it's shot a certain way, if the product is presented to us differently, then we allow a different reality to set in. The same way we can watch somebody fall off the roof in a movie, we can handle seeing a wrestler fall off the roof in a cinematic match. The same way an actor can get buried alive in a film, it's okay that AJ Styles got buried alive. And he came right back to Monday Night Raw a couple weeks later. Everybody's like, yeah, of course. AJ Styles got buried alive in the movie match. It looked awesome. It was great. The question is not if. The question is who. Who is going to get thrown off the WWE headquarters roof? Because somebody's going. It could be one of the women. I could see if it's any of the women getting thrown off the roof. My two top choices for women to get thrown off the roof of the building are Asuka, because she's a lunatic. She'll show up on Monday, a day after getting thrown off the building, and she'll just be as wild as ever. I got thrown off a building! And she's talking in Japanese and everything, and it would actually work for her. Or Nia Jax. Nia Jax, it would be a creative way to get her out of the match. You know, she's the immovable object, the irresistible force. And the only reason that we were able to get her out of the ladder match at all is because we threw her off the roof of the building. So I'd be okay with either Asuka or Nia Jax getting thrown off the roof. As far as Raw goes, AJ Styles talked about somebody being thrown off the roof. There is this idea going around, what if AJ Styles becomes the They Killed Kenny of the WWE? What if every pay-per-view we do a cinematic match, and it's the many deaths of AJ Styles? What if he got buried alive at WrestleMania, got thrown off a 4-story roof onto I-95, have Money in the Bank? Who knows what will happen next time? Maybe we'll throw him in, maybe we'll go to London and we'll go to England, we'll throw him in the River Thames for Extreme Rules. A London Bridge match, and AJ's getting thrown off the bridge into the drink. Never to be heard from again, except 3 weeks later, he'll be back on Raw. Maybe that's the fate of AJ Styles. I don't know. I think the best choice for throwing somebody off the roof, of men or women, is Baron Corbin. I think there's any character that could take getting thrown off the roof only to come back, it's Baron Corbin. I don't think King Corbin needs to win the Money in the Bank. He's already got the King of the Ring crown. Seems, overkill to have both the briefcase and the crown, although he'd be twice as obnoxious, and maybe it would be a way to recover from losing to Roman Reigns for 6 months only to come back to go to WrestleMania to lose to Elias. Maybe putting him behind and giving him the briefcase would be something to do with Corbin. But when you look at these matches, okay, Asuka, I don't think is gonna win the briefcase, because Asuka's in this sweet spot right now where she's not winning giant matches, but she's top of the women's card, and she's a force to be reckoned with. And I think that's where she's going to stay. She's not going to be the women's champion, but she might be the gatekeeper for that position. Dana Brooke, no, of course not. No. She might, if she were to win the briefcase, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, either she's going to cash in unsuccessfully, or she'll have the shortest run of SmackDown Women's Champion ever. Carmella, while clearly she can do it, and I loved Carmella's first run as Money in the Bank winner, I think that Carmella's character is not solidified since she left R-Truth. I don't think we know exactly who Carmella is right now, if she's the same character that won the first women's Money in the Bank match, or if she's something a little different. So I wouldn't put it on Carmella. I don't think Lacey Evans, because I think she's a good guy, and she should earn the shot. I think she's building a lot of fan support, and I think that she'll be better off earning her position there. Eventually, she'll be being the top good guy women's superstar on SmackDown. I think you're left with either Shayna Baszler or Nia Jax, and I think it could be either one of those two. I think the easy money is on Shayna Baszler, and I think that that's the right pick. I think the idea that Shayna Baszler is no longer chasing Becky Lynch. She's not trying to get a match with Becky Lynch. She's just making sure that Becky Lynch is always watching her back, and in the meantime, she's having matches with other stars. And then maybe you go to Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch for a while. That's the way I would go. But clearly Nia Jax has been billed as an indestructible force, and it feels like they're almost leaning in to her internet reputation of being careless and hurting people, which I don't necessarily think is a bad idea. I mean, if people don't like you on the internet, I would say use it. Trust me. So yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, I'd throw Nia Jax off the roof, and then I'd have Shayna Baszler win the match for the women. On the men's side, AJ Styles is a good choice. So let me tell you who I wouldn't have win. I would not have Daniel Bryan win, because I think when you look at the good guys on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan may be in line to be the next good guy main eventer anyway. I think that he's already top of the card. This is not the same Daniel Bryan that won several years ago. So I actually think it would diminish Daniel Bryan's character. I don't think it would make it better. Again, Baron Corbin, it feels like overkill, although it would be helpful, and he would be good as an obnoxious character. I don't think Rey Mysterio. I think that Rey Mysterio can tell a story of a legend wanting one more chance at the WWE Championship without the briefcase. You could do it with the briefcase too. I just don't think you need the briefcase to tell that story. AJ Styles, I think, would be a good bad guy proponent, but at the same time, when you look at the roster, you're like, well, AJ Styles, even if he didn't win the Money in the Bank, would make sense as Drew's next opponent. When you look at who is in line for a shot at Drew, it's Drew versus Seth right now. I mean, theoretically, we're going to see a Drew versus Jinder match at some point, but the two people that we're really looking to see, I think, are Drew versus AJ and Drew versus Randy. So the fact that AJ's already in that conversation almost makes me think I hope he doesn't get the briefcase because I want a disruptor to win the briefcase. And when I say disruptor, I want either Aleister Black to hold the briefcase, to win the briefcase and hold on to it for months. Or I want Otis to win the briefcase just so everybody goes, oh my God, things could get drastically different in a hurry. You know, and you could have, the way I would do it, this is exactly how I would do it. I would have Otis win the briefcase at Money in the Bank. I would have Otis come out and celebrate on SmackDown. I would have Braun Strowman join forces with Bray Wyatt. I would have Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt attack Otis and beat him to a pulp, only to have Daniel Bryan come out and save Otis. Going forward, we have a bad guy, Braun Strowman, with The Fiend in his corner, defending the WWE or the Universal Championship against Daniel Bryan. And all the while, Otis is sitting on the briefcase waiting to cash in.